Welcome to our lesson where we will explain the chart object in Wise SCADA. First, I select the chart object from the panel on the right and add it to the screen. Then, I slightly increase its size. The chart currently contains 3 series. In the Values section, I need to select a tag for each series. I select the tags that I prepared earlier, one by one. To ensure the X-axis scrolls continuously, we also need to select an X tag. Since the X-axis is in DateTime format, we select the Now tag, which represents the current time. Let's adjust the X-axis range from the Advanced section. Currently, the minimum is 25 and the maximum is 26. However, observing a 1-minute interval may not be very practical. So now, we will perform a short test. Let's enter 25 and 45 as values. This way, we will display a 20-second interval on the screen. Now I start the runtime. Using these 3 objects, I assign random values to the tags. As you can see, these values are plotted on the chart. Now let's explain how to adjust the X-axis range during runtime. When we select the chart and open Properties, we see 2 parameters named minimum and maximum. I previously created tags for these parameters and assigned them here. The data type of these tags is set to DateTime. Now I start the runtime again. We can now adjust the X-axis range during runtime. Let's enter some values for testing purposes. The upper field represents the maximum value. I enter 50 as the maximum value. I remove the milliseconds part. For the minimum value, I enter 0 to widen the range. The chart is now configured to display the last 50 minutes. This chart is currently set to real-time mode. From the Advanced section, we can change this to historical mode. When historical mode is selected, the chart is drawn using database records. However, all 3 selected tags must be configured to be logged into the database. I open the Network section and configure these tags as historical. We already have an existing database. However, the table structure has not been created yet. I open the database menu and click the Check Table button. Now the table structure has been created. I can now add data in historical mode. I select Table 1. I configure it so that the tag names remain unchanged. I will repeat the same process for the other tags. Now, these values will be stored in the database. As runtime starts, data logging into the database begins. The key advantage of historical mode is that data is never lost. All values are always retrieved from the database. I stopped and restarted the runtime. As you can see, the previous data has been reloaded into the chart. There is a gap in the chart. This gap indicates a time period during which no data was recorded. Now, let's explain how to add and customize chart series. In the Advanced section, under Series, clicking on Collection allows us to configure various settings for each series. Under Appearance, we can change the color of a series. I selected a color that is not currently used in the chart. Let's also change the name of the series. Yes, here it is. Instead of Series 0, let's name it Temp. Finally, let's change the line thickness. We need to locate the border width parameter. I increase the line thickness significantly. There are many properties available here. It is not possible to explain all of them in this lesson. You can find detailed information about these features in the help pages. When the export menu is set to true, users are allowed to export chart data to disk during runtime. Let's keep it enabled and view the export menu in runtime. By right-clicking on the chart, we can export data to Excel or PDF. This allows both the chart image and the data to be exported as a PDF. Additionally, users can select series and change colors during runtime. For example, let's hide tag 1 and change the color of the second series to brown. Let's enter some different values to better observe the changes. Tag 1, which is series 0, is no longer visible on the chart, and series 1 is now brown. These changes are temporary. They only affect the runtime session. When runtime is stopped and restarted, the chart returns to its original configuration defined in development mode. If you do not want users to modify series during runtime, you can set the series menu option to false. One of the most important parameters here is the sampling mode. There are 3 available options. Currently, it is set to min-max. Average and real options are also available. The most recommended option is min-max. Let me explain why. Assume we are displaying 10 years of data on this chart. Within those 10 years, there are millions of records. If we attempt to draw all of them, screen resolution would not be sufficient. We would not be able to see the data accurately. Therefore, min-max should be selected. When min-max is selected, the time interval per pixel is calculated. Then, the minimum and maximum values within that interval are retrieved from the database and displayed on the chart. When average is selected, the average value of the interval is displayed. When real is selected, all raw data is displayed exactly as stored. However, with large datasets, this may cause the chart to run very slowly and even freeze Wise SCADA. Thank you for watching this lesson.